Turns out, the guy who turned me gay was just playing a game of straight boy dare with his friends. Messed up, right? He's actually into guys? Gross. So I got the hint and bounced. Then I ran into his biggest rival. The guy raised an eyebrow and asked with a lazy smile, "How about you try dating a different guy?" So I did. And the high and mighty Caleb went absolutely nuts. Caleb went through all this trouble to turn me. Not long after I said yes, I got an anonymous text with a group chat history. Messed up. He's actually into guys? Gross. I scrolled all the way up and figured out what happened. Turns out, the only reason Caleb ever pursued me was for a stupid straight boy dare he was playing with his buddies. I was his little experiment. The class president who, in his words, had a swish in his step and the most gay potential. The perfect combination of a thrill and a mystery box. So he chased me and then he asked me out. The cross on my necklace swung back and forth. A few girls nearby were secretly filming on their phones, excitedly sharing with their friends. I walked over, shoved Caleb to the ground, and punched him right in the eye. "Caleb, you're such an asshole." He totally played me. My blood boiled and rushed to my head. I was about to raise my fist again when Caleb flipped me over, pinning me to the ground. He sat on my waist, his long legs locking me in place. I couldn't move. "What the hell is your problem?" He tilted his head and looked down at me, his tone flat. I glared up at him and spit out the words, "Straight boy dare." Caleb nodded, like it was nothing. I was gonna play along for a few more days, see what it's like when you people date. But since you found out, there's no point. He got off me, but the warmth of his body lingered, leaving a strange sense of attachment. The next second, Caleb lifted his leg and kicked me hard in the side. I knew it would leave a bruise, and sure enough, Caleb's eyes darkened as he looked at the mark he'd left on my pale skin. But all he said was, "We're even. Get lost." I left without a moment's hesitation. Back at the pool hall, all hell broke loose. Caleb was agitated, snapping his custom-made, six-figure cue stick in half. His buddy Mark came over. "Dude, you pissed? Want to hit up that new club, the Velvet Room? I hear the new girls are something else." Caleb had a cigarette dangling from his lips, the smoke making his narrow eyes look even more intimidating. He wasn't really in the mood, but there was one thing he needed to figure out for himself. Leaning back on the couch, Caleb let the new girl massage her way up his veiny forearm to his solid chest. Just as her red lips were about to touch his, a face flashed in his mind. Damn it, it was him again. Lately, whenever he got close to a woman, a picture of Leo would pop into his head. Is this gay thing contagious? Did he catch it? Caleb shoved the girl off him like he'd been electrocuted, kicking over bottles and glasses as he stormed out. He cursed under his breath. Drinks spilled everywhere. Total chaos. The people left in the room just stared at each other, wondering what set the rich kid off this time. I bought a hot egg from a convenience store and sat on the curb, wincing as I rubbed the bruise on my side. That little bastard Caleb really doesn't hold back. After a while, I peeled the egg and started chewing on it, my eyes getting a little misty. Caleb had no idea what those 6 months he spent chasing me meant to me. Growing up, the other boys always picked on me because I was quiet. They said I was girly. Because of that, I was even more terrified of anyone finding out I was gay. Then I met Caleb in college. He was the rebellious rich kid from the Shin family, spoiled and picky, but with me he was completely different. I had a toothache in the middle of the night, and he'd drag himself out of bed, hair a mess, to take me to the hospital. On a date, I wanted roasted chestnuts, and he'd peel them one by one, line them up on the table, and tell me to eat them in order so I wouldn't burn my tongue. He thought he was the one who turned me, but the truth is, I've always been into guys. And his gentle but passionate pursuit was impossible to resist. Caleb asked me out. The words were simple, but they went straight to my heart. Can you give me a chance to stand by your side, to face the world's judgment with you? I said yes. In the heat of the moment, I even worked up the courage to lean in and kiss him. Caleb took a huge step back. I was so naive. I thought I had just surprised him. Leo, you're such an idiot. Cough, cough. I got worked up and the egg yolk got stuck in my throat. I pounded my chest, trying to dislodge it. I probably looked like a hen laying an egg in a barnyard. Neck stretched out and everything. Someone handed me a bottle of water. Without thinking, I twisted it open and chugged half of it. Much better. Thanks. I stopped mid-sentence when I saw a familiar face. Caleb's rival, Jax. I immediately got defensive, scooting down the stone bench to put some distance between us. Jax, from the school swim team. A sharp buzz cut, almost 6'3" with an 8-pack and a swimmer's build. A lot of people on campus secretly called him the ultimate gay fantasy. But I instinctively disliked him. He had this slick vibe and he'd hit on me before. Back during the school's track and field day, Caleb got roped into the 3,000-meter race. He was exhausted afterward and asked me to come get him. I mixed him some Gatorade and headed over. On the way, I passed a bunch of athletes training, all of them shirtless. I blushed and tried to hurry past. Suddenly, Jax grabbed my hand. He looked down at me, a tiny mole hidden in the crease of his eyelid, and a smirk played on his lips. Taking Gatorade to Caleb? Caleb had told me their families were business rivals, competing for years. The two of them never got along at school. Naturally, I didn't have a great impression of Jax. None of your business. I tried to leave, but Jax scooped me up in his arms, bridal style, and casually did 50 squats. I swear to God, I was flailing around in his arms like a turtle on its back. But Jax's hot muscles held me tight. When he'd had his fun, he finally put me down and glanced at the Gatorade in my hand with amusement. Sorry, man. Too much energy. Team practice requires weight training, and I couldn't find anything handy. So he used me as workout equipment? You're sick, I stammered. As I walked away, his buddies were hooting behind him. Yo, Jax, you into that guy? Jax just chuckled. Nah, man. He's Caleb's little wifey. Didn't you see him rushing over with supplies? Thinking back on it now, I'm breaking out in a cold sweat. But Jax had the nerve to sit down right next to me. I saw the whole thing. Your boyfriend hit you. That Caleb guy really doesn't know how to treat someone right. I squeezed the water bottle until it crackled, trying to look intimidating. Don't you have anything better to do than follow me around to laugh at me? Who said I'm laughing? I'm here to steal his man. The whole speech I had prepared got stuck in my throat. I just stared at him, wide-eyed. Jax raised an eyebrow and asked with a lazy smile. So, how about we try dating a different guy? I swallowed hard. Who? Jax's eyes were fixed on me, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. He didn't have to say a word. It slowly dawned on me. This jerk was hitting on me again. Damn it. I jumped up from the bench and pointed at him. You're only doing this to piss Caleb off, aren't you? Well, it's not gonna work. Caleb is straight as an arrow. He doesn't like me at all. This whole thing was just a stupid game he was playing with his friends. I had nothing left to lose, so I didn't care that I was shouting and drawing stares from people passing by. Yeah, I like guys. But does that mean you two get to just mess with me like this? I unleashed all my anger for Caleb onto Jax. Jax seemed surprised by my outburst. His playful expression disappeared, and he hesitated before speaking. Is this fun for you? I shot back before he could finish, my eyes starting to well up against my will. Jax's mouth, which had been half open, closed again. After a moment, he gave a helpless smile. Leo, you're really something else. Something else, what? He didn't say. It bugged me the whole walk back to the dorm. As I stepped onto the stairs, the motion-activated light flickered on. A figure leaning against the corner wall was illuminated, making me jump. Caleb. What was he doing here? Just seeing him made my side ache. I walked past him without a glance, smelling the faint scent of alcohol. I hadn't taken more than a few steps before I was pinned against the wall. Caleb planted his hands on either side of my head, his eyes lined with red. Leo, tell me, did I catch it from you? Otherwise, why do I keep thinking about you? I stopped him from getting any closer, turning my head away. I don't know what you're talking about. Ha! Caleb's hand found the bruise on my side and started rubbing it gently. Still mad at me? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have hit you. You know that besides my parents, no one's ever dared to touch me. He buried his head in the crook of my neck. Leo, let's get back together. I kicked Caleb hard in the knee, getting him back for what he did. My voice was cold. Caleb, the moment I saw those chat logs, we were done. This isn't some petty fight. We're breaking up. The motion-activated light timed out, plunging the hallway into darkness. With sight gone, my hearing became sharper. Caleb was silent, but from the unsteadiness of his breathing, I could tell he was on the verge of exploding. If there's nothing else, I'm going. As I stepped onto the stairs, a hand grabbed the back of my collar. Caleb was practically vibrating with anger. He grabbed the back of my head and slammed my face against the wall. "Don't you dare defy me." I struggled. "Are you crazy, Caleb? Let me go." He leaned in, turned my face, and kissed me hard. I bit his lip until it bled. Finally free, I leaned against the wall, gagging. "Leo, do I disgust you?" In the darkness, Caleb's eyes glittered like embers. I glared back. "Wouldn't you be disgusted if someone force-fed you crap?" TCH. Instead of getting angry, Caleb laughed. He stepped back and sat down on the stairs, pulling out a cigarette and lighting it. He was back to his usual calm, collected self. He took a drag and said to me, "Leo, you only act tough with me. What about with 2 people, 3, or a whole group?" Caleb rested one hand on his knee, a cigarette between his long fingers, and looked at me as if I were a real headache. "What do you mean?" I stopped in my tracks. The man let out a low laugh. "Leo, you told me yourself. You told me you're afraid of being bullied by a group." He blew out a puff of smoke, his expression cruel. This was the real Caleb. Vicious, unpredictable, someone who put on a mask to get close to me just for a game to kill time. Pretending to be a gentleman. And he was so good at it, I let my guard down completely. When school first started, I didn't get along with my roommates. All because I used a tissue to wipe my sweat. They looked down on me for it. During orientation, one of my roommates asked what sunscreen was good. Someone else would laugh and chime in, then glance over at my desk. "You should ask the sissy over there." They never got physical, but everything they did, everything they said, was a form of mental bullying. But Caleb, he beat up all 5 of my roommates who were bullying me. He ignored the counselor and the dean passing the buck and forced them to move me to a different dorm. After all that, he asked me, a little angry, why I didn't fight back. What other reason could there be? I told Caleb everything, about the shadow that had followed me since childhood, making me instinctively afraid to resist. Caleb wrapped an arm around my neck and told me not to worry, that he'd have my back from now on. And now he was holding my weakness in his hands. Like a landmine, one wrong step and I'd be blown to pieces. I was so anxious I barely slept a wink that night. The next day, the campus social media page exploded. The video of me kissing Caleb and him recoiling in shock was all over it. There were also a few screenshots of his group chat messages, full of contempt for me. The comments section was a war zone. I knew the rich kid from the Shin family was too good for that. No way he'd be into a guy. Obviously just messing around. Was that step back for real? I've rewatched it like 100 times. I'm dying laughing. Former roommate here. Knew he was a sissy the second I met him. The thought of him fantasizing about a straight guy like me makes me want to puke. Same. I made eye contact with him in the cafeteria once. I feel so dirty now. Was this Caleb's idea of a lesson? Because I rejected him, he had to destroy me? My hands trembling, I closed the app and forced myself to go to class like normal. It was gym class. Without Caleb's protection, the second I got there, my classmates' disdainful looks hit me full force. They all automatically moved away, leaving a huge empty space around me. The gym teacher spoke up. "Everyone, get closer. What are you all doing?" Someone shouted, "Teacher, he likes guys." I'm scared. The whole class burst out laughing. The teacher shot me an awkward glance. Not wanting to pry into a student's private life, he just changed the subject. I was completely frozen. My tennis partner was Caleb. We had planned to take this class together. Not far away, Caleb stood with his arms crossed, holding his racket, a slight smirk on his face, waiting for me to come crawling back. For the sake of my final grade, I had no choice but to walk over to him. "Caleb, ready to practice." Someone cut me off. Mark ran over from a distance, panting. Bro, sorry I'm late. Didn't miss practice, did I? Caleb didn't bother answering him, just gave me a scornful smile. Too late. I've got a new partner. He emphasized the word new and walked away with Mark. Oh my God. Look at him. Even after all this, the fug still has the nerve to cling to him. Caleb won't even give him the time of day. I stood there, motionless. Once again, I was at the center of a campus firestorm. I found a secluded corner and practiced tennis against a wall by myself. I heard footsteps behind me. It was Jax. He must have just washed his hair. He stopped a few feet away, shaking the water from his head before walking over. He seemed to be heading for me, but I just yelled at him last night. Feeling a bit foolish, I looked up, totally awkward. I greeted him like an old man out for a stroll in the park. Morning workout? Jax pressed his lips together. I'll come to all your gym classes from now on. I'll be your partner. So he saw the post on the campus page. He must have rushed over in the middle of washing his hair. I was genuinely touched. Seriously, I could just die. Could there be a more dedicated rival? Just to mess with Caleb, he was even sacrificing his rest time to be my partner. So I stood up and said to Jax with determination, "For what you did today, you're my sworn brother. I'll give it my all to help you piss off Caleb." Caleb was playing me, but everyone has a possessive streak, especially when it comes to a rival's provocation. Jax snatched the racket from my hand. His eyes were still damp, and the muscles on his handsome, well-defined face tensed. "Leo, don't make me hit you. What's he so mad about?" I awkwardly rubbed my nose and shut up. After a few rounds, I realized this kid, Jax, had no idea how to play tennis. Jax was all geared up, racket in hand, knees slightly bent, eyes fixed straight ahead with determination. "What are you doing over there? Keep going." He was really getting into it. I pointed to the bushes behind me. The poor shrubs were practically bald from all his wild shots. "You don't even know how to play. Your grip is wrong. I've spent this whole time just chasing down your out-of-bounds shots." "Don't be mean," Jax said, shrugging his shoulders playfully, a smile suppressed. "I don't know how. Teach me, Professor Leo." I was so focused on my grade that I didn't even notice he was flirting with me again. I started teaching him seriously. "Watch carefully. See this bevel here? You need to place your knuckle on it, then slide down to the bottom. No, like this." I reached out to correct Jax's grip. I was so absorbed in teaching that I didn't realize my head was slowly drifting toward his chest. I also didn't notice that the other students on the court had stopped playing and were all staring at us. Were Caleb's dark, gloomy gaze fixed on me. All I felt was Jax's body temperature rising, making me feel a little hot too. I was just about to ask him what was wrong. Jax subtly put some distance between us, looking uncharacteristically shy. It's too early in the morning to be this close. It's getting hot. There was a breeze, and the temperature was perfect. I asked what's getting hot. He gave me a look that was hard to decipher and pushed my back. "Just play. Stop asking so many questions. Focus." He reached for the racket in my hand, but a fast-spinning tennis ball came flying toward us. It hit Jax right on the back of his hand. A gasp went through the crowd. I looked toward where the ball came from and my eyes met Caleb's. He was standing not far from me, looking like he was covered in a layer of frost. He looked like he'd been cheated on. His eyes were murderous. He stared at me for a good 5 or 6 seconds. Then he smashed his racket on the ground and stormed off the court. Feeling bad for him? Seeing me stare at Caleb's retreating back, Jax spoke up. "If you feel bad, go after him." I took a step forward to pick up the dropped racket. He grabbed my wrist. "You're not going." Jax's voice was rough, but his face looked hurt, making me feel like the bad guy. "I took a hit from that jealous jerk just to be your partner. You have to take responsibility for me. Take me to the school nurse." Jax had sprained his knuckles a bit. I helped him apply some medicated oil and was wrapping it with a bandage when he, with nothing better to do, started a conversation. "Leo, why don't you fight back when those jerks bully you? Even just getting angry would be something." He was talking about gym class, how I just silently took the ridicule from the other guys. There are so many of them. If I fought them, I'd be ostracized by everyone. I'd be completely isolated. Right now, it's just words. Only someone who's been constantly excluded knows how hard, how exhausting it is to try and fit in, to not be seen as different. It was just like Caleb said, I only dared to stand up to him. But Jack said, so what? Does it matter how many people are bullying you? What do you have fists for? Remember, from now on, I don't care how many of them there are. If they hurt you, you punch them so hard their own mothers won't recognize them. Here, hit me right here. Jax pointed to his chest. I hesitated, then balled up my fist and gave a weak punch. He frowned. Harder. Pretend I'm Caleb. I took a deep breath, and before he could react, I swung my fist with all my might. Holy crap! Jax fell onto the wooden bench with a thud, clutching his chest in pain. I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't notice someone outside the window was secretly recording our playful moment. Jax and I went our separate ways. He had a team meeting and I was hungry, so I headed to the cafeteria. As soon as I walked in, I saw two familiar faces. Caleb and his buddy Mark were sitting across from each other, deep in conversation. Find anything? From a distance, Caleb listlessly poked at the food on his plate, showing no appetite. Who sent Leo those texts? Not yet. Man, Mark said, suppressing his guilt and speaking enthusiastically. But I saw Leo and Jax getting real cozy in the nurse's office. Snap. The chopsticks in Caleb's hand broke. His expression turned grim as a video was placed in front of him. Leo was bandaging Jax's wound. His pale, delicate face lit up with a smile as bright as a ripe tomato. Good. Just great, Leo. How dare he smile so happily at another guy? Mark watched his expression, secretly pleased. He'd had a crush on Caleb for a long time, but he never had the guts to say anything, always playing the role of the loyal friend. He never expected Leo to beat him to it. He caught a glimpse of a figure walking into the cafeteria. Speak of the devil. Mark added fuel to the fire. Bro, you want me to get some guys to teach him a lesson? Caleb's eyes were practically burning a hole through the video. He didn't say anything, which meant yes. I got my food to go from the cafeteria. Just as I stepped outside, a group of guys pushed me into a nearby wooded path. It was the middle of the day, so everyone was either eating or napping. The few couples around got scared and ran off. Without a word, they knocked my food to the ground and started raining punches down on me. I got back up, didn't say much, and just threw a punch at the leader. That made them angrier and they hit harder. The sound of fists and curses filled the air. But for some reason, at that moment, I felt like a crazed wolf. I wanted to use my fists to tear open the black curtain of my past, to bring a starry sky to the bullied kid I once was. I wanted to give my childhood self a helping hand. So I fought back like my life depended on it, even as blood dripped from my nose. Eventually, they grabbed my collar and pinned me against a tree. A fist was raised, aimed at my face. The next moment, the guy was kicked to the ground. Caleb appeared in front of me, calmly and coolly making me an offer. Leo, I can give you one more chance. Come back to me. I spit a mouthful of blood onto his face. Get lost. Caleb's face turned ugly, a cold aura radiating from him. He took a handkerchief from Mark and wiped his face clean. Is this what that lowlife Jax taught you? I grinned, the taste of blood strong in my mouth. He didn't have to teach me. This is what I've wanted to do for a long time. I've long wanted to fight this group of bullies who hide behind the label of straight to feel superior. Jax just gave my inner demons a little push. Fine. Caleb dropped the handkerchief and stomped on it hard. Before leaving the path, he turned back. Leo, I hope you still have this reckless courage in the days to come. I gave him the middle finger, short and to the point. Things got really ugly between Caleb and me. He kicked me out of our psychology project group. He was clearly planning to make my life difficult. The final project for our psychology class was to create a video about mental health issues. I couldn't do it alone. I scrolled through my contacts, desperately trying to find someone, anyone, who could help. No one. I started to regret it. Maybe I should have just stuck it out until I got my grade before dumping Caleb. My finger mindlessly swiped across my phone screen, and I noticed that the post exposing me for kissing Caleb was trending again. An ID, my wife's foodie, had replied to hundreds of negative comments about me. With that kind of dedication, they probably never miss a single mandatory youth study session. I couldn't resist reading through them. I knew the rich kid from the Shin family was too good for that. No way he'd be into a guy. Obviously just messing around. My wife's foodie. Oh really? Why don't you ask him if he's regretting it now? Was that step back for real? I've rewatched it like 100 times. I'm dying laughing. My wife's foodie. Your sense of humor is so low. Just try not to laugh at your parents' funeral. Former roommate here. Knew he was a sissy the second I met him. The thought of him fantasizing about a straight guy like me makes me want to puke. My wife's foodie. Thanks, but we're picky too. We're generally not into pigs. Same. I made eye contact with him in the cafeteria once. I feel so dirty now. My wife's foodie, ditto. This person was so righteous it was like my own alt account. A name popped into my head, but I wasn't sure. On a whim, I stopped my frantic search. I posted a status on my socials. Need people for a psychology class video project. Any volunteers? Then I set it to be visible only to him. Phone off, time for bed. The next day, with number 8 a.m. class, I slept in. When I checked my phone, I saw the fish had taken the bait even earlier than I expected, texting me almost immediately after my post. Jax, I'm in. How many people do you need? I've got a bunch of guys on my team who can fill in. Why aren't you replying? Did you find someone else? Who? What loser beat me to it? If this was all just to get back at Caleb, thinking back on everything that had happened, would Jax really need to be this concerned about me? But then again, guys can be that petty. I decided to wait and see what Jax was really up to. I replied, nope, it's you. Okay. That kissing emoji made me choke a little. I could feel 3 black lines forming on my forehead. For the next few days, I'd go to Jax's dorm to discuss the video project and filming. I was thinking the theme could be about the psychology of being gay. Is that okay? I asked quietly. Without a second thought, Jax replied, tossing me one of his jerseys. It's dirty. Mind washing it for me? Ever since he hurt his hand, this guy had been shamelessly making me do his laundry. He called it repaying his kindness. Does he have any idea how cringy this is for me? The last time Jax asked me to do his laundry, I had just gotten to his dorm room door when I heard his friends asking, Yo, Jax, why have you been picking out only your jerseys to wash lately? What, they're too thin for the washing machine? Shut up. I've got someone to do it for me. Ooh, someone to do it for him, is it just laundry? Or are you trying to hook him? The him they were talking about was me. So when Jax threw another jersey at me, his friends all looked at me, then at each other and started hooting and hollering like a bunch of monkeys. Furious, I grabbed the jersey and stormed out, deciding to wash it in my own dorm and bring it back later. His entire dorm of jocks is insane. Wait, why am I leaving with Jax's jersey? I was a mess of confusion. Distracted, I bumped right into Caleb on the path, and the jersey fell from my hands. Caleb's pupils contracted. He clenched his fists and demanded, Leo, are you fucking doing Jax's laundry? I picked up the jersey and walked past him without a word. It's none of your business. Caleb blocked my way, looking completely undone by a single piece of clothing. I see you and Jax are getting closer and closer. What's going on between you two? You're even doing his laundry now? I was getting tired of his interrogation and pushed him away. I'll do laundry for whoever I want. I could be washing his underwear and it would still be none of your business. Caleb's face was like ice. He grabbed my elbow, refusing to let me go. After a tense standoff, he asked, as if resigned to his fate, this jersey, you're really going to wash it? Honestly, it didn't matter if I washed it or not, but I just didn't want to give Caleb the satisfaction. I nodded. Caleb let out a bitter laugh and, as if throwing all caution to the wind, snatched the jersey from me. Who the hell cares who washes it? My mouth dropped open as I watched Caleb furiously scrubbing Jax's jersey on a washboard. He'd been pampered his whole life, never done a chore, especially not washing his rival's clothes. The jersey was a wrinkled, sorry mess. Soapy water soaked his cuffs. Caleb motioned for me to roll up his sleeves. I ignored him, and he suddenly lost all interest and threw the jersey down. Leo, stop messing around with Jax. Come back. I'll add you to my group. He then pulled a luxury watch from his pocket, and when he looked down at me, the anger in his eyes had melted into something tender. I stood there, stunned. Caleb whispered, Leo, I'm giving you another chance. Let's get back together. This was the third time Caleb had tried to make up with me. He wasn't the type to back down easily. Caleb once had a Tibetan Mastiff for 5 years. One day, it got possessive over its food and snarled at him. Without blinking an eye, he gave the dog away. He never gave second chances. So, I started to think that maybe Caleb really did have some feelings for me. But did that erase the hurt he'd inflicted on me during what he considered a Cold War? I didn't answer. I glanced at the jersey and said, now that it's clean, you should probably hang it up to dry. I had once again slapped the young master's pride. He clenched his fists and, as he left, slammed the door with a deafening crash. I started filming for my psychology class video. Jax and his crew and I had planned to shoot a scene at the school's lake. There were plenty of wild ducks and geese on the bank to set the scene. I arrived early, and as I was setting up my equipment, a large goose suddenly snatched my camera bag, which I'd left on the ground. I immediately grabbed its plump wing and tried to wrestle the bag back. But the goose acted like I was stealing its treasure. Its eyes bulged, and it spread its wings, chasing me all over the place. Oh my God! Help! In the distance, I saw Jax and his friends laughing and walking toward us. I ran toward them like they were my saviors. I couldn't stop in time and crashed into Jax's chest. The momentum made him wrap his arms around me and spin us around. The goose pecked Jax hard on the butt. Ow crap! Jax yelped, tightening his grip on my waist and resting his chin on my shoulder. His face contorted in pain. As the culprit, I felt a little guilty. Are you okay? He rested on my shoulder for a moment before his expression returned to normal. Pretty soft, Jax said suddenly, then squeezed my waist. Damn it, you perv. Pushed him away. Goose, get him. Aside from that little incident, the rest of the shoot went smoothly. When we finished, I treated everyone to a late-night snack. After all, Jax and his friends weren't in my major, so their friendly appearance in my video didn't count toward their grades. When the owner brought our food, Jax casually took a spoon and scooped all the green onions out of my noodle soup. Something was wrong, very wrong. How did he know I don't like green onions? On the way back to the dorm, I kept glancing at Jax. What's up? He asked, looking down. I put on my best tough guy face and started my interrogation. Spill it. How did you know I don't like green onions? And what was your real reason for getting close to me in the first place? Confess. Jax chuckled softly, took my hand, and laced his fingers through mine, squeezing tightly. Holding my hand, he said playfully, My lord, this is the kind of relationship I want with you. He's way out of my league. I can't handle this. Just as I was about to pull my hand away, a fist flew past Jax's face. Don't touch him. Jax's expression turned cold. He let go of my hand and started fighting with Caleb. They were both trained fighters, and every punch landed with a sickening thud. They were like two wild animals in a fighting pit, tearing at each other relentlessly. It looked like only one of them would make it out alive. The fight was too brutal to watch. There was even blood splattered on the ground. Without thinking, I jumped in front of Jax, closing my eyes as I saw Caleb's fist coming down. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. It was eerily quiet. I opened my eyes. Caleb was staring at me in disbelief, his charming eyes filled with bloodshot veins. His lips trembled, and his whole face was shaking. After a long moment, he let go of my collar, said nothing, and walked away. I collapsed to the ground, my heart still pounding. Jax tried to help me up, but I shifted away and stood up on my own. Let's call it a night. You should go get some rest. Jax paused. As I was about to enter the dorm, he called out to me. Leo, I'll wait for you. My heart skipped a beat. After getting back to my room, I went back downstairs to take out the trash. As I passed the dorm supervisor, he adjusted his reading glasses and looked me up and down. Was that boy, Caleb, Here looking for you earlier? I shook my head. As I tossed the trash into the bin, I saw a smashed, blurry cake with a card sticking out of it. Leo, happy birthday. I forgot. Today is my birthday. Thinking back to Caleb's pained and suppressed look, I realized he must have been waiting to celebrate my birthday with me. But then he saw me holding hands with Jax and lost control. Someone as proud as him would never admit to such a humiliating defeat. So he threw the cake away. But what does that have to do with me? My psychology video was selected by the teacher as an outstanding project to be shown in class. The content was simple. It was about a guy who likes other guys, overcoming his insecurities and getting together with another man. The final scene showed me and Jax kissing, fading to black as the story ended. Jax and I had agreed on this scene at the last minute. The original plan was to fake it, but as soon as he got close, I got nervous and my face scrunched up like a flower. Finally, Jax got impatient, grabbed the back of my head, and just kissed me. And that was a wrap. The classroom was buzzing with whispers. So gross. How could Leo even film that? Does that fug have no shame? Facing the cold remarks, I stood up at the podium and scanned the faces of everyone in the class. My voice was unwavering. Yes, I like men. From this day forward, you all will no longer be the reason I hide who I am. You don't mean shit to me. Just then, there was a tap on the classroom window. Took the classroom atmosphere to a whole new level. After I sat back down, Caleb asked from behind me, Leo, have you made your decision? Is this your choice? I turned my head to look at the faint heart shape on the window. Of course. Extra just then, there was a tap on the classroom window. Jax's bruised but triumphant face appeared. He pointed at me, paused, breathed on the window, and drew a heart. He then tapped the center of the heart and shot a smug look at the rest of the class. This sent the classroom into a frenzy. No way, Jax too? They were afraid of Jax, so they didn't dare say anything too nasty, instead turning their fire on me. It was all about how girly I was and how I seduced men. But amidst the chorus of disdain, several girls shrieked with excitement. Oh my God! Did they just go public? They're so perfect together. I ship it. Who cares if it's two guys? We only care who's top and who's bottom. Isn't it obvious? Why is everyone suddenly looking at me? Do I look like a bottom? I'll fight every last one of you who judges a book by its cover. A voice suddenly sounded from behind me. Leo, have you made your decision? Is this your choice? It was Caleb sitting behind me. His arrogant voice was a little hoarse. I turned my head to look at the faint heart shape on the window. Of course. Extra after class, I found Jax squatting by the flower bed in front of the classroom, waiting for me. What else do you need? Maybe my tone was a little too casual because Jax looked annoyed. He shadowboxed the air a few times before turning to me with a fierce expression. Leo, you're something else, you know that? You use me for your video and then toss me aside. Now you're talking to me so politely, like we're strangers. You're a true descendant of an ancient and civilized nation. He was being so sarcastic. But he did help me out a lot, so I tried to smooth things over. I was just asking, that's all. Jax snorted. Actually, I do need something. What is it? His ears turned red, but his tone was confident. Have you ever seen someone confess their feelings and not wait for an answer? Last time, in the dorm, I was about to confess when we ran into that psycho. This time, during your class, I confessed. The whole damn school knows I like a guy named Leo. Now, I'm waiting for your answer. Jax turned his head to the side. The sharp lines of his face contrasted with the vibe he was giving off. He looked like a tough guy blushing. I'm done for. I actually find this kind of cute. I linked my arm with his, feeling his solid bicep. Then let's date. Jax turned his head back in disbelief. I grinned, showing all my teeth. This relationship is all about being spontaneous. Extra 3. Caleb had been drinking all day. He couldn't understand it. Since the day he was born, everyone around him had catered to his every whim. He had lowered himself, counting the psych class, and begged for reconciliation 4 times. But why couldn't Leo forgive him? The alcohol made his head ache, and his eyes stung. Someone wiped away his tears and gently massaged his temples. Leo. But the face he saw was Caleb. Mark looked at him, hurt. I like you. Can you please stop talking about Leo? Caleb felt like the world had gone mad. He, the mastermind of the game, had been turned gay by Leo, played like a puppet, and now his best friend of many years was in love with him too. When? From the beginning. If Leo can, why can't I? He's never going to forgive you. Caleb, since you're into guys now, can't you just give me a chance? For a moment, Caleb's muddled mind cleared. He stared intently at Mark. You sent the chat logs. Yes. At this point, there was no reason to deny it. Get out. Caleb mercilessly threw a glass, then an ashtray, leaving Mark with a bloody head. Then he forcefully kicked him out. In the empty room, the alcohol rushed back to his head. Thinking of Leo's choice, his chest ached with a suffocating pain. One last time. He would give Leo one last chance. Caleb took out his phone, found the number, and dialed. Extra, I went on a date with Jax. It was pretty cliché. We just sat on a mountaintop and watched the sunrise. I couldn't stop teasing him. After all, he was always hitting on me before. And picking me up to do squats was just to show off that he was stronger than Caleb. TSK, TSK. Such a peacock. Yes, it was love at first sight. Jax turned to face me, half his face in shadow from the rising sun. His directness sent a shiver down my spine. There was no elaborate plot to get back at Caleb like you imagined. It was simple. I saw you during orientation, and I've been crazy about you ever since. So direct. I love it. Before I could even get emotional, Jax asked, so, can we finish what we started in the psych video? What? My eyes were wide with innocent confusion. Jax chuckled, his eyes growing darker with desire, paired with his sharp, wild features. He looked so hot that I suddenly felt like my ass was in danger. I nervously swallowed. My phone rang in my pocket. It was Caleb. He was calling me. I was about to hang up, but Jax snatched the phone and answered. Leo, I'm hurting. Caleb's voice, laced with tears, came through the speaker. I'd never seen him like this. I was stunned. Before I could say anything, Jax grabbed my head and pressed his mouth to mine. My lips tingled. I couldn't help but protest. No tongue. Jax laughed, exasperated. He deepened the kiss, making loud, wet sounds. Caleb's end went dead silent for a second. Then the call ended with a sharp beep. It hit me. This guy, Jax, is a real piece of work. But what can I do? Guess I'll have to live with it.